Hello everyone and happy World Book Day. Here it's Susie Carmichael from the Rugrats. I hope that you know that cartoon, otherwise that means I'm way too old. Never mind. Today I'm going to be reading you the book Frozen in Time by Alice Sparks. It's really exciting. So this is the story of two teenagers, Ben and Rachel, and they are stuck at home with their Uncle Jay. There's nothing to do. The TV has just blown up and it's pouring down with rain. Suddenly, the sun came out and they decided to explore the huge garden. They noticed a hatch in the garden that they have never seen before. And after many efforts, they managed to open the hatch, which reveals a dark place. So they decide to climb down the ladder. Down the steps, they discover different dusty rooms, old tin cans of food, and other items. They are attracted by three torpedoes-shaped things in the last room. So I'm going to start to read that extract. I hope you're not going to be scared. Rachel leaned on the second torpedo thing, resting her cheek on her palm, her elbow on the bit that Ben has just dusted. Then she opened her eyes wide, and then her mouth, and began to scream. Chapter 4. Ben had heard his sister scream quite a lot. She was a girl after all, but he had never in 12 years heard a scream like this. He jumped violently and grabbed at her and saw that her eyes were bulging with shock and horror. She was pointing and screaming, "A body! Open! It's a dead body!" Ben stared into the glass and saw a face. Eyes closed, pale pink lips very slightly open, revealing milk white teeth. Dark hair curled across an alabaster forehead. It was a girl, about the same age as Rachel. It made him think of Snow White in her glass coffin. A shudder of fear went through him, making his heart thud and his legs feel weak. Rachel had stopped screaming now and was holding her hands across her mouth, her eyes shut, shaking and crying. They should get out of here now. And yet, something inside him couldn't let him walk away, just as he had barely allowed him to walk in a few minutes earlier. This girl, this cool, still sleeping girl. "She doesn't look dead," he said finally, still holding onto Rachel's shoulder. "Maybe they had a way of preserving them, embalming like they did with Lenny or Eva Perron." Rachel stared at him. "What are you talking about?" she gasped. I just mean that she looks pretty good for a dead person." "Oh my God," said Rachel. "You fancy a corpse?" "Don't be stupid," he said with an exasperated click of the tongue. And suddenly he realized he wasn't really that scared anymore. He was more fascinated, as if he'd stumbled into Tutankhamun's cave. "Come on, we can't go back now. We have to know." Rachel gave a little shriek as she vigorously wiped the top of the last torpedo chamber. Ben caught his breath in shock, even though he'd been half expecting it this time. Another face lay beneath the curved glass window, also dark-haired. His eyes too were closed, and his features were similar to the girl's. Perhaps they were related. He seemed, though, Ben, to be smiling, as if he was having a bit of a joke. At any moment his eyes might spring open and he might shout, "Surprise!" "He looks like her," breathed Rachel, who had overcome her fear to move around to lean on Ben's shoulder. A bit older, he's probably her brother. Maybe this is some weird kind of mausoleum, like when they buried Egyptian kings and put all the stuff they need in with them to take them into the afterlife. Ben nodded. He'd been thinking similar thoughts. But if someone took this much care over burying their kids, he pondered, you'd think that they'd put a headstone or something, wouldn't you? Ugh, it's creepy, shivered Rachel. I can't believe I'm still standing here. Well, they're hardly going to spring up and bite you, are they? Said Ben. They must have been dead for decades. I wonder what killed them and who they were. Maybe... He walked back to the console, ducking past the pipes and wires that went into the top of the torpedo's chamber. Maybe there's something about who they were in these notebooks. Rachel hurried after him. She did not want to be standing on her own between two dead bodies, no matter how healthy they looked. Ben was flipping through the notebook, coughing now and then as the dust from it caught on his throat. She glanced at the other books, but they looked like textbooks, the kind of stuff she hoped never to have to get down off the shelf in maths class. She studied the console with all its old buttons and levers. Everything looked as dead as the boy and the girl in the torpedoes, as if it had lain there for centuries. She could probably press all the buttons and flick all the levers without anything happening, but it a bit of dust storm. Although the square plastic or glass one down on the left looked as though it might do something. There was a very faint red glow about it, but that was probably just a reflection of the red top she was wearing. She flicked it idly, and of course, nothing happened. Anything? She asked Ben, who was squinting at the book. He shook his head. Nah, it's all just equations and numbers and stuff, science stuff. Weird things to leave in a burial chamber. Maybe they were both, geniuses or something like Uncle Jay. Was that noise? Rachel listened, her fair head cocked to one side. Something was hissing, not like a snake, but steadily, like escaping gas. She stared up, scared again at Ben. He said, in an imitation of the noise. But now she realized something else was threading through her ears. Beneath the hissing, a low hum, almost below the range of hearing. It was more as if they could feel it, vibrating through their bones. Now the hiss and the hum were joined by a regular beeping noise, like a slowed-down alarm clock. Oh no. What did you do, Rachel? What did you do? Me? What did I do? I didn't do anything, she squawked. You must have. What did you touch? Only that red square button, but it didn't work. It's not even lit up. It's... Oh! Now that she looked again, she could see that the button was lit up. Quite definitely. And next to it, a row of other buttons in various colors were also beginning to light up, some glowing steadily and others flashing. Oh no, moaned Ben. We've set something off. We've got to get out of here. They both ran towards the door, but as they reached it, there was a click and a metallic thud, and they saw that on this side of the door was not just an ordinary knob, but a turning wheel type thing like on the outside of the shaft. And it was turning. Rachel screamed again, and Ben grabbed the wheel, trying to turn it back, but it was completely unable to make it stop turning. He could hear the cogs and levers of a strong-locking mechanism moving relentlessly inside it. Why had he shut the door behind them? Why? Rachel was now banging against it, crying, "No, no, no! I'm not staying in here! Get me out! Get me out! I don't want to die down here!" Ben felt fingers of dread creep coldly over his shoulders and make for his throat. He and his little sister were being untold, buried alive with the dead. He shouted to you then. He didn't know what. He just bellowed with fear. The hissing went on, the hum grew louder, and then the light seemed to get brighter as the beeping got faster. Rachel crumpled against the door and slid down, its unyielding surface, crying uncontrollably, her nose running, her eyes screwed up. He felt himself beginning to pitch into hysteria with her. What was the point of trying to stop himself? They were done for. They would never get out, and it would take several days for Uncle Jay to even notice they were missing. There was no food or water stored in the room. They were dead as the girl and boy in the metal coffins. "I do wish you'd both stop that racket. It's like a blasted kindergarten in here." Rachel turned around and stared at the owner of the voice. Then her eyes rolled up into her head and she keeled over unconscious onto the floor. "For goodness sake," said the boy after Ben had gaped at him for 30 seconds or more, making fair gurgling sounds of shock and horror. "You might stop looking at me as if I'm a ruddy ghost. And what the blazes are you doing in my father's vault? He'll go off like an atom bomb when he sees you here." And this is the end of the extract of Frozen in Time by Alice Sparks. Who are this boy and that girl who don't look so dead after all? I hope that you enjoyed that story. Happy World Book Day. It was Susie Carmichael. See you later. Bye now.